Yeah, what is up, everybody? It is Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and welcome to round 6 of the 2025 AOMX FXR Championship in MX Bikes. The lucky winner of the track tonight was Budds Creek. We spun the wheel. We have another track selected, and Budds Creek is it. Obviously, pretty recent to the Pro Motocross Championship to end the season, so excited to see how it plays out in MX Bikes. These guys haven't had maybe as much time on this track because, again, it is only about a month old for the ARL series, so very cool to see. Excited to see what happens in round 6 of this championship, and we're going to take you guys all the way through it here in just a few moments. But before I do anything else, we got to jump in with our Discord cohort of the evening. It is the man, the myth, the legend, joining up now with my guy, Talon, in the booth tonight. How we doing, Talon? Nope.
Ready to watch some more racing? I think we got about 4 or 5 rounds left in the championship, and you know, the championship's closing up. Obviously, I think if you asked me 3 rounds ago if the championship would be this close by now, I probably would say not. But, you know, Cam and a couple others have really closed in this championship and given Brad a run for his money.
Yeah, it's definitely getting interesting in the championship picture. We'll talk about that in just a second, but wanted to talk about our qualifying going into tonight because obviously that kicks us off. And, gotta get it up on the screen here. Apologies for that. Just 1 second. There we go. And looks like Brock W., a little sneaky fast qualifier tonight by the looks of it over Washington Cam. So Brock W., maybe a little bit familiar with Budds Creek or something?
Yeah, maybe. Didn't get to watch too much racing this year, but, you know, I mean, he's always been fast. He's been more of a 250 guy. I think he's trying to look to jump into that 450. He's really using this for it. He might be doing 450s for Ariel next year if he comes back in races. So, I mean, he's showing he has the pace on the 450. We'll see if he could bring it over into some motos like we've seen earlier in the season and maybe battle for a podium overall and maybe a moto win.
Yeah, and he definitely is looking to do some damage tonight against Washed, who was fantastic last week and up in the mix as well. Cam inching closer in a championship picture, and yeah, let's talk about that championship. We'll get it up on our screen right here, right now. Since Hawkstone round 5 finished last week, Brad's championship lead down to just 11 points. Cam and Washed are definitely getting close after going 1-2 last week. What does Brad got to do to stop the bleeding here?
I think he's got to get back to getting those podiums. You see, after Moto 1 at round 3, he just hasn't been on the podium since. It has, you know, only been in the top 5 twice in the 5 motos. So, I mean, that's really got to be it. You know, he had that good, you know, podium streak, and it helped him get that big advantage after round 3. But these last 2 tracks, Hawkstone and Flanders, he just hasn't been able to put it together. It looks like he's good on the aerial tracks, but maybe not so much the GPs, except for that Moto 1 at Sweden at round 3.
Yeah, and obviously Cam and Washed are inching closer, it seems like, every week. But what about TJ and Chase? What do you think about their chances of keeping this thing close? Because they're still just in those 30s back in the championship picture.
Yeah, they're still closing it in, you know, slowly. Like I said, at round 3, Brad did have that big lead. He was 34 ahead of Cam at round 3 and, you know, 56 ahead of TJ and 48 ahead of Wash. But, you know, them bringing it down slowly, they could get into the mix late, but they're definitely going to have to, you know, always be on that box almost every moto. You see that Wash has been doing that pretty well, except for Moto 2 at round 4. And TJ's, he's always close to it, but I feel like if he just is always on that podium and they're always knocking Brad off, that'll definitely give him a lot better chance of, you know, getting the victory in the end of this championship.
Absolutely, championship getting fun here in the AOMX FXR Championship heading into round number 6. All right, let's jump back in the server and get ready to race here at Budds Creek. If you haven't been with us before, 2 moto format only. It is 1 class, 2 motos, your normal 30 plus 2s, but obviously instead of 4 motos, we just run 2 with everybody mushed together, so you kind of get the best of both worlds. Even a guy like Neon, who's been messaging me a little bit excited about racing the 450 when normally he's a 250 guy, did pretty well last week at Hawkstone. So kind of cool to see what you guys put together here, and that, you know, it allows, I guess, almost in a way like the Motocross of Nations style, where you just get everybody on the track together and see what happens.
Yes, definitely. You know, obviously there is a tiny bit of advantage for the NA guys, you know, having it be 8 p.m. Eastern, where it's, I think, roughly 4, maybe 3 in the morning for all the, you know, EU guys. I know Cam, I think he has his schedule kind of figured out where he goes to sleep for a little bit beforehand, wakes up in time, maybe an hour before qualifying, and then, you know, gets ready to race. But, you know, a lot of these EU guys, obviously, they got to stay up late, and that could hinder them. But Cam, he's proving along with Brad and all the other you guys in that top 5 that even if it's late at night, they can still do good. But yeah, it's awesome to see all these different, guys from all kinds of different countries come out and race and still show up here, even though it's more, NA time zone.
Well, hey, I mean, look, we're all getting excited for the real Motocross of Nations this weekend. So this is just an early test for those Euros. They're going to be up mega late anyway, watching it at Ironman. Hopefully, a lot of you guys will as well this weekend. Just a little bench racing with you, Talon. Who's winning this weekend, huh?
I have to, bet on Cam. He's been obviously doing really good. But maybe a bit of surprise might be Wash. Maybe not so much of a surprise for him, but, I think he could really get one done, and he showed in qualifying that he's fast at this track, too.
I didn't even notice this little section, or this other track up here at the top of the hill. That's pretty funny. Because I saw them mention in chat something about, like, oh, let's race this one instead. That's hilarious. It's a legit little Supercross track. I know they have one up here.
Yeah, they actually have that one up there at, I think they also run, dirt ovals around the track whenever they don't have the SX built there, but I think they built that there for more locals, people if they want to do that instead of the outdoors. So it's cool that they obviously put in the effort to do that for the aerial schedule. So gives these guys something to do while we wait for the motos to start.
Yeah, I say for Super Motocross next year, we just go to Budds Creek, and after the big gulp uphill, we turn up into this track, we do a couple sections, and then we go back down onto the main track. What do you say?
Oh, I think it'd be fun. I'd love to see it. I mean, hey, they even got a little opening here after that step up triple corner that they could just go up the hill and come in. So I know I'd love to see it, and we'll hopefully they come to some more outdoor tracks and add SX style stuff to it. But obviously we'll wait till that calendar comes out. But it looks like we're getting in to the first motos here of round 6.
Yeah, it says game audio a little loud in chat, so I'm going to turn it down just a smidge. So hopefully that doesn't affect everyone. Whoops, I went to track by mistake. So my bad. Hopefully that's not a problem. But okay, we are getting ready to drop the gate on race 1 here in just a minute. Where's the start coming from as we look down to the inside gates here?
Probably the first 5 gates might be it. I don't think this one, maybe. It actually looks like they lined up so that inside gate does actually shoot out as much as it does in real life. So, yeah, maybe the first 5 to 10 gates I'm looking like, because that's more of a straight-on shot. And, obviously we will have to wait and see what these guys do. But, yeah, I'm guessing those first 5 to 10 gates.
All right, so we'll see who's up the inside right here as we finally get loaded back into the race now. Again, apologies for the game audio. I'm going to try to crank my mic just a little bit as well, and hopefully that also goes well with the game audio. But yeah, TJ up the inside from Washed, Cam, Chase, Willie, all the big dogs. Brad, your points leader, about 6 out ahead next to our fast qualifier, Brock W. You got Steiner, Aquas, Silva, Hicklin here this week, Neon, KFC, Reed, Vixnev, Braden, CYS, Champ, Posty, DA425, Thunder, Pax, Gooey, Nathan, Chris, Dr. Geo, Kobaha, Dizzle's way out here this week, Ducky, Carter, Oles, Slowy, Hunter, and Prizzy with the Jorge Prado gate way out here on the outside. All right, it is time to go racing here in Moto 1 at Budds Creek. We're going to look down the far inside and see how these guys get out as that 30 card, or I should say the 15-second card, is about to go up and turn sideways. We'll hear those revs come up, and we're going to get a reset.
I think we're getting a couple of jump starts just because of the way the game is. So, it looks like, yeah, a bunch of people are getting jump starts. This track might not be the best for it. So that's why you're constantly seeing all that stuff with this game. It's not them actually, jumping the start. It's just them getting slowly pushed forward or by the game because of lag and stuff like that. So
yeah, it's just a slightly downhill incline, and I can also see gates. Oh man, if you look down like gates maybe 22 and up, there's a little bit of a dip on them even. And so I wonder if like just those gates out there, a couple guys get put in and then it rolls them that slight bit forward like you mentioned. So we'll re-rack them and try to get it going. I don't remember the ARL race. Did they have this problem too?
I'm not too sure. I didn't get to watch much of it. I only got to see the back half of second Moto 450s because of work. But yeah, I'm not too sure. We are going to wait a little bit because Steiner, unfortunately, it made his game crash on that jump start for him. So he's loading back in, and then once he's loads back in, we'll actually or get the gates going once again. Hopefully we won't have any of those, jump starts.
I have a question for you, Talon, because I'm not an MX Bikes guru, and I know you know a little bit more than I do, but when the gate drops, does the like collision file for the gate work as it's going down? Like if you hit it as it's going down, will it still mess you up?
I'm not super positive. I'm trying to think if I've done that before. I feel like I have, but I could be thinking of me doing it in sim. um, so I'm not 100% positive it does, but I'm maybe not, because if I'm trying to think on like how this game works, yeah, I think it's just a wall right before the gate that stops you from going into it. It's not you actually hitting the gate with collisions.
Gotcha.
So I'm guessing when it drops, it's not really collidable. So
yeah, McStovepipe in chat
times it
saying
perfectly.
It
Someone times it perfectly. It'll look like they go through the gate, but they'll still get a good hole shot.
Gotcha. Makes sense. So interesting to see if anybody's able to time it up here. We're going to get racked up in just a moment. McStovepipe says, once it flinches, you can go right through. Interesting. So never knew that. Fix your game, Pibbs. Come on. No, that's funny, though. Yeah, I mean, we'll see where the start comes from. We already talked about that a little bit. The rest of the racetrack, though, again, a bit of a newer track. Maybe guys haven't been practicing as much on this one, but how do we expect this one to race? A little bit more lines this week, I'm assuming, than what we had at Hawkstone.
Yeah, I feel like we'll have a bit more line choices. We'll see how they kind of play into it, into all the rough stuff on the track here and there. But, you know, from what I've seen, there always is a main line these guys will go to try to carry as much speed as possible. But, you know, like we've seen every week, since we have the road, I think, a little higher than Aerial does, it does tend to lead to these guys swapping up lines maybe at the end of Moto 1 or as soon as Moto 2 starts. So obviously have to wait and see if line choices change, but I'm hoping there will be a bunch of different lines that people can use and make passing and make the racing even better at this track.
Yeah, definitely a lot of line changes last week at Hawkstone. I mean, the main line was worn out to absolute bits by the end of the first moto, so I'd have to imagine if that's a similar case this week, we will see some line changing again. Okay, looks like we are re-racked and ready to go. I also got the Cam purple plates, or the yeah, that's Cam with the purple plates. I couldn't see the name for a second. He finally gave me his kits, so good on him. We're in here now.
Oh yeah, sent them to me. You know, I mean, it took long enough. Finally got him made though. Like I said, he's got that purple for the, obviously since he won Aerial SMX for EU, so, you know, rocking it a little early, but
that's all right. Can't fault him for it.
I mean, yeah, as long as he has a kit made,
yeah,
I think we'll be good to go.
See him on the stream now. See the big 2.9 machine and how he's able to do against the rest of them. Brad, Willie, TJ, Chase, Cam, Wash, Brock W. They're all set to go, as are we. Let's get revved up and drop the gate here. Moto 1 of the AOMX FXR Championship from Budds Creek is now. And we are off that land rush into turn number 1. It looks like it's going to be a bit of bumping and banging as Cam actually got there first and shoved wide. He will come through the middle to get the whole shot, it looks like, over Brock W. and Wash. But a lot of the heavy hitters made it through clean. TJ and Brad are up here as well.
Yeah, all the heavy hitters look like one of them went down, and it was Brad, so your points leader down early after having a good start. That's kind of what we've been seeing these past couple weeks, but Cam leading early, not what anyone wants to see. He always has that Moto 1 speed, and Wash goes down as well, tucks the front end, so now Brock into P2, Tyler J P3, but we got the top 3 guys. Brock obviously was fast in qualifying. We'll see if he could put it together and chase down Cam as TJ goes down behind him.
Man, masterful performance by a lot of guys to go around Wash as he went down, and it's absolutely set up this insane mid-pack battle on the first lap as our 2 leaders, Cam and Wash, start to get away a little bit. I'm sorry, Brock W. get away a little bit. But yeah, look at this. Aqua up the inside shoves Fizzy out of the way. We also have TJ moving back into the 4 spot up there on the 1. Willie up into the top 5. Sorry, Prizzy, not Fizzy, as Wash goes to the outside of him. So everyone's trying to find their early positioning here, and that early couple crashes of those guys have really stacked the field, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. Willie went down right behind him, so Wash was able to get through. But, you know, these 2 up front, they do have a little bit of history from the NSP Supercross series that has been going on in the background of Aerial. You know, Cam was calling out Brock for a little bit, and then Brock won that week, and then Brock called out Cam, and then Cam won the next week. So these 2 have a little bit of history from that Supercross, and we'll see if it carries over into this. But they're already starting to gap the field, and it looks like TJ's starting to pull away from the rest of that little pack right behind him.
Yeah, and we know that Brock W. was your fastest qualifier tonight, right? So he has a little bit of speed in hand. Let's see if that comes into play as he tries to run down Cam. One full lap in the books. Of course, we haven't made it all the way back to the finish line jump just yet, but we've gone past where the starting gate is. Cam continuing to lead at the top of the track as he goes through those turning rollers. Brock W. in second. Then that little gap established back all the way to TJ now in third. Now we've seen TJ have atrocious starts of late these last couple of weeks and have to fight his way through. How does he fare with a third place start this week? Does he go with these guys a little bit better?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, with being, dealing with so many, starts in the back of the pack and moving forward, it could be a little nerve-wracking finally getting a good start. Not being used to being up front, the nerves, the shakes could be there a little bit. As you see that small mistake from him could be getting to him. So we'll wait and see if he could do it. But right behind him, little shout out to a co-owner of the series, Dizzle. He's up to P5 now as Walsh just got by him. Oh, Dizzle's struggling there, and down he goes.
That is commentator's curse if I've ever seen it. But hey, he gets up. He's still in a fight for 6th, 7th right here. Champ going up the outside, Posty down the outside trying to move into 8th. But Dizzle, it's not even a sand track, and he's feeling the flow out here, Talon.
I know he's finally figuring it out. Oh, and Champ off the track. Free spot for Dizzle. He's going to move through into P6. We'll see how long he could stay up here on this track. I don't know if he really likes it or not, but we'll have to wait and see. He's getting pressure from Posty behind. And Willie right behind him, who we know is fast and was battling up front early in this championship.
Yep, and you got Chase finally getting up into the mix again a little bit. That's actually Champ, I should say, not Chase. But Chase is moving up. He's actually now into 13th place. We'll wait to see where he comes down the hill right there on the Charge Cycle Works machine. Normally a guy that is running up front, he's going to get a pass done as Dr. Geo goes absolutely ejecto-ceto cuz off the track. He's way out in the woods over here at the bottom of Big Gulp, so tough break for Dr. Geo. But yeah, Chase moving his way forward. We'll see how he's able to fare. And did we have a change up front? No, sorry, that gap is actually opened up. Thought TJ was moving up a little bit.
Like
he
Brock
is
went
not.
Down.
Yeah, Brock W went down. So Cam now has quite a big lead, actually, a very big one in that. Over 9 seconds back to TJ. Where did Brock go down? Because he must have been down for a long time to lose this much time on the track.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I just looked up after we saw Dr. Geo's crash, and Brock had gotten passed by TJ, and now he's under fire from Wash, who was trying to get around him earlier. And, oh, he tucks the front end, goes over the bars there. Just unfortunately gets a bad kick, and now Silva's going to come right behind him and try to go down the outside. We'll see if he can make it happen. Around the outside here, does he get the drive? He does not. It was too far out there for him to make anything happen.
Yeah, crazy turn of events. We thought Brock W might be going after Cam early in this race, and instead Cam has absolutely distanced himself 5 minutes into this race, a 14-second lead because TJ, just before Brock W and Wash got there, laid it down on the off camber, so he had to get it spun back around going up that tricky uphill out of the valley, and now Wash right on his rear fenders. We got a battle for second starting to brew.
Yeah, Wash moving forward due to these other guys' mistakes. And you see TJ make another one, not fully able to get to that inside, so Wash is going to close in a little bit. And I want to take a quick peek at our leaderboard down in 17th. Our points leader as Wash actually goes down as that happened. Same thing as Dr. Geo does. There might be a little kicker into that outside, but yeah, in 17th is our points leader Brad, who had that top 5 start. So another week where he's having to come from the back of the field to try and salvage another points finish.
Yeah, not a good situation for Brad as we're going to go and find him coming down right before Big Gulp. Now he is behind Neon, one of those 250 riders that we talked about in the pre-show, getting a not so good start on that 450, but trying to make his way forward. You got Reed, Champ, Fixnev just up the road as well. Now Brad, how tense is the situation with him in the championship lead? Do you think he's been kind of weary about having the red plate all this time? Because it seems like the starts, the consistency, just nothing seems to be the same level that we saw at the beginning of the season. Yeah,
the red plate might be getting heavy for him, but it could just be also not playing the game much. Obviously, the aerial season is over with. Now that SMX ended, I believe that was last week for them. So it could be just not playing the game more, but we'll have to wait and see if he could, remount a charge here and even get a better start in Moto number 2, or like he did, he had a top 5 start and just unfortunately those early crashes like we always see after a good start, and he's down again with Posty. Unfortunately, him going down, taking Brad with him. It's always just that bad luck. He had a top 5 start and he's had that for multiple races in a row, and just unfortunately those early crashes are costing him.
Yeah, Posty looked like he was crashing for about 1 whole minute right there, and Brad still found a way to hit his bike as they were flipping through the air. Hey, look up the track a little bit, and Silva has worked his way into the mix with Brock W. and Washed having a hell of a fight right now for third place. TJ's gotten away after a mistake from Washed. Brock W. back into third, but how about Silva? This is a good ride out of the SPX rider.
Yeah, Silva definitely making things happen. He's got his teammate right in front of him of Washed. Ooh, Washed kind of had his rear tire slide out of that rut, so Silva had to check up. Looks like they're going a little cautious. You see Silva was able to charge harder down on that hill, but slowed up coming into the corner. So I'm thinking Wash was definitely wary of a bump on that outside as he's going down the inside of Brock as he makes a mistake over the rut. And now they're side by side coming up to Henry Hill.
There's so many good passing opportunities on this track, and we'll see whether or not Wash can make a quick one snipe pass on Brock W. They're both going to funnel to the outside at the bottom of Henry Hill, turn it back up to this inside double. Everyone wants to hook that really thin inside rut because it carries you over that single nicely. But again, with the erode, the track deforming throughout the moto here, these lines will change up, and we'll see a much different racetrack as this race goes on. Brock W. and Wash still going at it for second. Cam, TJ, Brock W., Wash, and Silva, your top 5 right now, and I mentioned his name a moment ago. How about Chase? He was 13th. He is now moving into the top 5 as Silva just went down before the finish line jump, and this is the Chase we have come to know in this series, charging all the way forward, and then as I say that, he pirouettes up the hill, is going to lose a spot to Silva and Willie, but still right here in the mix.
Yeah, unfortunately, he was charging, and then with that crash, it just unfortunately might have ruined his momentum. We'll see if he could get it going. But another mistake there from him. That might give him, looks like he might have been able to stay on track, but he is actually the only person in the top 10 that does not have a single second of cut so far. So that is going to play to his advantage. As we've seen, he's always good at being consistent and staying on track. So we'll see if he could, regroup and get his pace back together and maybe catch back up to Silva and maybe get back into that top 5, maybe fight for podium by the end of this.
Yeah, the consistency kills, and Chase is very good at that consistency factor. Will peak back up again to Brock W. that has Wash still hot on his heels, so this is a great fight going on for third place. And TJ, who had gotten away from them, kind of seems like he might be slipping back into their clutches. I'm not sure if it was a mistake, a crash, or simply just a couple bad sections, but suddenly this is tightening back up a little bit more. And again, if you're in Brock W.'s shoes here, I guess you just look forward because there's a bike you're catching. Don't worry about what's going on behind you.
Yeah, and a small mistake like that, just over the berm, and Wash is going to come right through. We'll see if he can, now with some clean air, he'll see if he can move forward. He does have Brock behind him, who used to actually be on SPX. It looks like he's a privateer now, so don't know if there's any bad blood there between them, but we'll have to wait and see if Brock can remount his charge and move back forward and pass Wash. But it looks like Tyler J with these two battling is starting to slowly pull out, but Wash starting to maybe get a little bit of a gap from Brock, but Brock not letting him go that quickly.
Yeah, from a team standpoint, for those that are watching and maybe confused, like what are teams? How does this all work? I've owned a team in this game. I kind of get it a little bit, but these guys, they're all friends for the most part. They try to game together, and every once in a while, you just have those little spats, or you don't really get along with the group anymore, or maybe you just want different skins. So it could be a lot of reasons. But how often do you think in this game it is something like you just maybe theorize with Brock W, maybe a little bit of a bad blood perhaps, or something like that, versus simply just Brock wanted a change of scenery?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Most of the times, if it's bad blood, it's based on like an attitude issue. I know me and Dizzle running the AOMX team, we've had to unfortunately tell people to not be on our team anymore due to them having an attitude issue and not really being the friendliest of people with our guys. I don't know if that's the deal with Brock W, but it's happened before. I don't know how common it is, but you always see guys constantly switching teams in this game. I don't know how much they enforce it on Sim, but I know they did. It used to have a rule of you can only switch either 2 or 3 teams per season. So, and these guys obviously switch a lot more than that. But yeah, it really just depends on the kind of person you are. I don't really see that with Brock. He is kind of, he's still on the younger side, so that could definitely play into it. But I don't know. I don't see him as typically a mean person, but it could be his actions just towards other people and not specifically to the team.
Yeah, so we'll keep it as status quo right now. He probably just left. He wanted better skins. I get it. That was what happened with my team all the time. Them dudes just leaving because they didn't like the skins anymore. But hey, it is what it is. So we'll keep track of Brock W's progress. Man, we have not talked about the leader hardly at all. 12 minutes into this race, and Cam is absolutely on one right now. The Moto Academy for TJ ride right now out front. We talked about the purple plates, the new EU SMX champ, which is obviously really cool, but something about this track and Cam, or maybe just fired up to try to get the red plate away from Brad. He looks on it today.
Yeah, he's definitely, been fighting. I mean, like we said a couple of races ago, after round 2 or 3, he said he wouldn't be racing the series anymore. Always got to avoid a lapper. He did go off track after crashing there, but I mean, he's really been showing that he does have the pace, and he's really clawed himself back in the championship. Like I said, about 40 points back after round 3, and we're in round 6 now. He's only 11 back, so, and it looks to be he might even take the points lead after this if Brad cannot move forward. But yeah, he's always had tremendous pace, and we'll see if he can continue it and continue this lead all the way till the end of the moto.
Yep.
With still 17 minutes left.
Absolutely. Brad now up to 11th last time they checked in through timing and scoring, so he's making some progress. Of course, there's still so much racing left to go. 17 minutes 25 seconds on the clock, plus that 2 laps at the end, and Cam's making it look easy, but as good as he's been, 15 seconds somehow doesn't feel safe. Again, we've seen so many times already in this championship, guys get a big lead about halfway through, that track starts changing, maybe their lines don't adapt to those changes quick enough, and the mistakes start coming through. And if you're TJ and Wash, I guess that's what you're hoping for, right, is those mistakes to come around, because they're still pushing 2nd and 3rd on the track, putting good lap times down. In fact, TJ even closed up that last time by, and they're just trying to keep it as close as possible and hoping something happens.
Yeah, it's always something you want to hope for when racing a guy, but one thing we have seen from Cam in these past couple rounds is whenever it gets to the rough stuff, he's normally the fastest guy on track when it comes to it, except for obviously that one moto where he had the wrong setup on. But I mean, he's always been pretty quick when it comes to the road and knowing when to back down in the road, as we saw at, I believe it was round 4, when in Flanders, where he did back it down that second moto all the way till the end, so he could, obviously not lose as many positions. So he's one of the guys that knows how to ride in the road, and that's definitely helped him climb his way back into this championship.
How about lappers, though? That might be the bigger question, especially TJ having to work through a few of them right now. Who do you feel like in this mix-up here kind of has the coolest head and is able to navigate these guys without getting too frustrated?
Obviously Cam and TJ, they obviously do have... I've never really seen a lot of them get super mad at the game. Obviously, they do. It is a very frustrating game to play, especially at this level. Do. It always is. Yeah, we all get a little upset. But yeah, obviously, it's just whoever... If you go down with the lapper, obviously, screaming and yelling at them and, blaming the game is all not really going to help. It's all about, like you said, whoever keep a cool head. And I feel like Cam has always been really good at that along with TJ. So, that's probably why they're always up front, and another reason why they're able to move through these lappers so well and not really get stuck behind him.
All right, halfway through, our leaders are still Cam and TJ ahead of Wash inside of the top 3. Brock W in 4th. Starting to see Cam into his frame just a little bit, and Willie coming down the hill, getting around Hunter a lap down inside of the top 5. Looks like Chase has really lost touch with this group. He is now about 10 seconds back and in the midst of lap traffic as well. Actually has Silva right on his hip here as they're going through some lappers. Silva gets into the lapper going down, going to lose a little bit of time. Then Vixnev way back in the 8th spot. Looks like he's about 9 to 10 seconds back of that, battling Reed, who just got hung up in that rut. And then Neon, who KMX in chat just let us know Neon was dead last off the start, so he was down. And again, normally a 250 dude jumping up to the 450 class, riding that bike pretty well to get back into the top 10, and he's got a shot at maybe moving to 8th here before long.
He's definitely, like I said, he is a 250 guy, and he's always been fast on that bike. I think he won a 250 title. I don't know if he won it again this year, but I'm pretty sure he won last year. But yeah, he's always been fast. He's raced our series before, and unfortunately goes down right there. But yeah, he did enough to earn a career number in our series, which is normally just top 20. So obviously he's fast on this machine, and obviously we'll see how far he goes up. But obviously I'm saying obviously a lot, but Neon coming from the back, he has passed Brad is what that means as well. So Brad maybe should have tried to stick with him. We saw him with him earlier, but he's getting hung up in these battles with Braden and a couple other guys right in front of him.
We allow 3-digit career numbers. I did not know that, but that's cool.
Yeah, well, he earned it for last year and then didn't race enough to keep it, so that's why he's back to the 288.
Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah, we do allow 3-digit career numbers if they choose to pick it, but nobody picked it for this season.
Makes sense, though. I dig it, though. I like the 3-digit career numbers. I wish that would be a little something we see back every once in a while in the AMA side. But hey, it is what it is. Neon has Steiner all over him, though, and that's another name that has been pretty solid of late, and we have seen nothing of him in this moto, so he's probably had to come from a ways back as well. What do you make of this? Two guys that definitely seem to have the pace but are way down the order. They are probably going to be real fired up to get a better start in Moto 2.
Yeah, definitely. Steiner really, he was gritting earlier about DNFing a couple motos in the beginning of the season. And like you said, he's been a guy battling for podiums so far in these past 2 or 3 rounds. And it's really weird to see him back here. Don't know if it's just the track that he doesn't like or not, or if he just had a bad start like Neon and these two are just climbing their way through the pack together. But we'll have to wait and see if they could climb up even more. They still got 12 minutes and 2 laps, so that should be plenty of time to maybe get up to maybe P7, I think, for them. Maybe a little farther, but with those mistakes that you see him making through the rollers, like Steiner did a little bit, it's not going to help him anymore, as Aqua is right behind him, who was up front early, and then Brad's starting to lose touch right behind him.
Yeah, this is very interesting to see Brad, the performance he's got going right now. Again, there's a lot of different factors that could be contributing to the fall off of performance, but just a consistent podium guy to start the year. Now really struggling to hold on to even 12th in this race. He's got Braden right behind him. He's got Aqua ahead of him, but ahead of him on penalties as it is right now. Just, I don't know, I guess shocking that Brad hasn't been even more consistent, because the consistency is what really did it in for him. But now he just seems like he's kind of almost as fast as he was at the beginning of the year, but crashing more often, as we just see 2 crashes on screen here.
Yeah, it just looks like he's struggling in all the ruts and everything. I've seen a bunch of, obviously corners. I was watching him for a little bit, and he was just missing all these ruts like you see there, and those are causing the crashes for him. So he may be trying to push it, and it's ended up costing him by not being able to stay in the ruts. But it's all these small mistakes that we didn't really see the first 3 rounds, and now they're all kind of, coming out for him. And it's not something you want to see for a guy that was looking to maybe have a chance at wrapping his title up early. But Cam is looking to, pull that lead, and it looks like he might be taking the points lead after this one if Brad can't get it going in these final 10 minutes.
Now, do you think guys like TJ, obviously washed pretty close to Cam in the championship, is it almost at this point in time, seeing how Brad has been these last few weeks, that they're maybe not even thinking about Brad anymore? Like, they kind of know the status quo at this point. Obviously, the 3 guys at the front of the field are doing some serious damage, and maybe they even themselves know that that's where the championship is going to come from, and they're kind of focusing on that at this point?
Yeah, they might, because, like you said, they've been battling Cam a lot and not a lot with Brad. Obviously, he still has the red plate, so it might be a little bit on their minds, but it's just they probably are more focused on Cam as he collides with the lapper there. I don't know if it was purpose or not. I didn't get a good angle, but obviously, they're fighting. And, I think TJ and Wash might be a little bit more concerned on Cam and beating him, since they're, fighting him every week, and he does have that 30-second lead on them right now.
Well, speaking of fighting, I did see that TJ went down somewhere. I didn't know where, but he has lost a position as Washed went around him, and they're actually in a terrific fight coming off Henry Hill. The gaps are staggering here, almost 30 seconds out front, but Washed and TJ going at it, and Wash goes off the track at the bottom of the hill before the mechanics area. TJ shoots back by, but the fight continues between these two as they try to settle second place in this race.
Yeah, they might be considering it a little bit gone for the, the P1 finish with Cam being 30 seconds ahead, unless he has a lot of cuts or mistakes. But, Wash, like I said, he's been fast. I think he was obviously top 3 in qualifying today, so he knows his track well. But that mistake right there is costing him, and we've kind of seen between these two, it's been the tiny mistakes costing him, like that for TJ hopping off the track, and now Wash is going to get by. So it's just whoever makes the least amount of mistakes might be able to win this one between them.
Definitely going to come down to mistakes. It's going to come down to navigating those lappers very well also, because we're coming up to a group of 3, 4, 5 of them, maybe a few corners away, and they're going to catch them quickly, especially at the pace everybody is running at the front of the field. Little mistake from Wash. TJ, better drive on the uphill. Now these tricky off cambers. Just talk about how technical these next few corners are to try to make a pass, because it's so one-lined, it feels like, right?
Yeah, it's always super difficult, and especially trying not to make a mistake on him, because you can't really charge super hard into him. Otherwise, you are going to get a bad kick and go over the rut like Wash did earlier on this. Turn at the bottom of the hill, he gets a little kick sideways, has to check up a lot, able to save it though. But yeah, it's just really knowing when to charge and how hard to exactly charge across all these braking bumps so you don't get a weird kick like that from Wash, but luckily he's able to save it.
I thought TJ was about to make that pass to the outside, and then he landed in a hole off Big Gulp and gets all kinds of sideways. Able to corral it nicely, still right there. Love that line those guys are taking as well, hitting that braking bump going up Henry Hill and just topping right over the very tippy top of it. And the battle is fierce right now. Where can TJ even figure out a pass? He's followed Wash all the way around this racetrack for over a lap now, and he's looking for many opportunities, but Wash is shutting the door at every opportunity that TJ seems to find.
Yeah, TJ slid out a little bit getting onto the start straight, and now he's struggling a little bit through these rollers, so Wash is going to be able to pull a little bit of a gap, and we'll see if he could, charge forward. It looks like they caught Cam just a tiny bit that last lap. It looks like they ran 52s while Cam ran a 56, but the cut's not helping him. Actually, TJ ran a 51.3 and Wash ran a 49.1, so they're going 5 to 6 seconds quicker than Cam out front, but the cuts are definitely not helping him to try and chase him down.
Yeah, and again, a shout out from McStovepipe saying, Wash so good in MX Bikes and MX Sim. If you're familiar with watching our Sim streams, I think I have this right. This is Ryan Chowsey, right, in second place right now ahead of TJ?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. He went, 9-2 last night?
Yeah, and honestly probably had the speed to win last night too, but got stuck on the tunnel jump in the race lead and was sitting there for over a minute. So incredible to see not only that speed in the 250 class to almost win an SMX playoff race in MX Simulator, but then jump right back to MX Bikes and go right back into battling for second place with some of the best in the game. I don't think you can undersell how ridiculous that is, because both games are so different. Yeah, they're motocross games, but they're just, so different in how you play them, how you ride, and to be this fast at both is really incredible.
Yeah, it really is. And then also he raced in the ARL SMX playoffs as well for bikes. So at round number 1 for, the sim playoffs, and then I think it was round 4 for us, and then he raced round 3 of SMX Aerial in 3 days back to back to back. So it's obviously got to be challenging to be fast at these games, but it's also, if you love playing the MX games, he's definitely seems like he is. So, it's got to be a challenging 3 days of racing for them that was for him.
Yeah, no kidding. And I also see my guy Transcend in chat right now, and I don't see him on the racetrack tonight, which is absolutely ridiculous. That's going to be a fine. I'm going to go get Transcend and just absolutely obliterate him in DMs after this. No, I'm kidding, but good to see you guys hanging out in chat.
I'm not making videos for you anymore.
Yeah, but good to see everyone in chat. Hopefully we're having fun watching the racing. Look, it's not quite a fight for the lead, but this Wash TJ battle just seems relentless. Lappers getting out of the way. Dizzle, one of them right there. And TJ's just trying to find that magic recipe. Every time he gets a little bit closer, seems like Wash is able to respond, get that gap back out a little bit. Like you said, it's a game of minimizing the mistakes, but it's also got to be fun for these guys to try to do this little chess match with each other about, minimizing those mistakes.
Yeah, and one thing I'm going to point out now into fourth is Chase, and he's only 6 seconds behind him based on cuts, and I think he's about 10 on track now. So, if these guys aren't careful with their battling, Chase is going to close in and take a quick little P2 or P3 from him.
Consistency kills. We mentioned it earlier in the race, and Chase has been so consistent in this championship. The late race charges have been incredible too. TJ is down way off the track at the bottom of Big Gulp. He's going to lose touch now with Wash, and here comes Chase to get into the picture. Now, where are we at with penalties? Like, how close are these two when it comes to penalties? Is this a pretty straight up battle?
We'll have to wait and see till after this lap, but as of now, TJ has 3 seconds and Chase has only 2, so he's got that 1 second advantage, and I think he's within that 1 second right now.
Yeah, he is right on his back fender as we're working around more lappers up the road. TJ just trying to get through. I'm trying to see who that is. That looks like DA 425 trying to get away out of the way at the bottom of the hill, goes wide in the mechanics area. TJ shoots by, puts his hand up. Now Chase is trying to squeeze by him on the outside. That's the tough thing when you're a lapper. You see one guy coming, but you never know where the next group is going to be, and Chase is right there for the picking. Almost squeezed him all the way to the banners there.
Yeah, it's definitely getting a little sketchy there with the lapper. Lapper obviously trying to hold it on as TJ over the bars and down he goes. Hate to see that for him, and now Chase is going to get by easily. So now we wait and see what can happen.
Yeah, that was a frustrating crash right there for TJ. Just a weird hop and then rode the nose down, up and over the bars. And yeah, based on the penalties before they'd even crossed the line, looks like Chase had already passed TJ on cuts, and now it just refreshes, and he's got a little bit more of a gap over him after TJ gets it going. So about 5 seconds the difference between those two, and Chase is ready to set sail after Wash, who's working his way out of the off camber up to the top of the hill and then coming down before Big Gulp. Again, these guys will not catch Cam, but could Chase still catch Wash? We'll have to see in these final 3 minutes and 2 laps. Going to be a fun one.
Yeah, it looks like Wash has set sail, but he does have 3 more seconds of cuts than Chase right now. So he does have to close in quite a bit. It looks like about 6 seconds he has to close in on him. And these last about 3-4 laps. So we'll see if he can do it. But with his consistency, it would not surprise me if he can. But like I said, Wash was running burners. He ran a 49.9 last lap compared to Chase's 49.0. So Chase has a chance, but I don't know. It might be too little too late for him.
Yeah, we'll see in these few laps left remaining what Chase is able to do from that long charge through the field. We'll peek back out front for just a minute before we check him out at the end of the race to go find our guy Cam. Looks like he is... where is he? Well, there's Brad, there's Neon, and there's Cam. Amazing. Cam has got to be stoked looking up the track, seeing the guy that's beating him in the championship. He's about to lap him in this race, and that's got to be not only a boost of confidence, but at this point, he's probably thinking about the fact that he's going to have to change those purple plates on his bike to red and send me a new pack next week.
Yeah, he's definitely got to be real stoked for that. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, he is going to lap him. He has the pace advantage, and unfortunately, it's just not the Brad we've been seeing the first about 3.5 rounds of this championship. So I have to wait and see if he can pick it back up next moto. But Cam, like I said, really showing the pace that he has and showing these guys what they have to do to beat him by just, obviously being the fastest and being the most consistent at staying up on these rough racetracks.
Yeah, now Cam did get the start in this moto. Obviously, that's a big benefactor compared to what the other guys were able to do behind him. But based on what you're seeing, does anybody actually have the speed to run with Cam in Moto 2? Because it seems like that consistency plus the speed combo he has is just electric on this track right now.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be hard. I mean, we've even seen, obviously, when he started from dead last, I think it was last week in Moto 1, he still came up to about a P7 salvage. So even with the horrible start, Cam has shown he can move through the pack, and he does have the pace. So I'd say unless he, obviously gets outside of a top 20 start, he should have a good shot at winning this, which obviously to all these other guys, it most definitely is not something they want to see. And obviously being 30 seconds up the road of Washed on cuts, and Chase is closing in on Washed here with about 3 laps left actually, because Cam crossed before the finish or before the timer expired. Yeah,
McStovepipe actually just made an excellent point right there. I hadn't thought about the distance between Chase and our leader Cam has not changed that much in this race. It stayed about 30 seconds. It got out to maybe 35 at one point, but Chase has definitely kept the gap about the same after he settled in, so perhaps a better start. I mean, of course, Chase is always wishing to have a better start. It seems like every week we talk about his starts not really hitting, but a better start in Moto 2, he could be one of those guys that runs with Cam. Going to see it here in a few laps. 3 to go on track right now as time has expired, so the 2-lap board coming out next time by. How about Chase, though? Running Wash down, less penalties, so might just get him on cuts anyway, but it almost seems like Chase doesn't care about that. He wants to go past him on track, it looks like.
Yeah, he is the fastest rider on track. He does have the fastest lap of a 44.8, and it looks like he does got him off of cuts right now as well, but last lap he ran a 47.5, Wash ran a 53.2, and Cam ran a 49.2, so Chase is on fire right now, and he's really pushing the pace, and now it's under 30 seconds between him and Cam, so kind of, the story you've been seeing all year. He just needs that good start to really hang with Cam, and unfortunately, he just hasn't had one of those yet.
Going to ask you another MX Bike specific question here. Chase is the only guy in the points except Kobaha, who is 20th, that's on the Husky dyno. Now, why? Like, what is it about this bike that seems to be working for him? Because everyone else is on Yamahas. We got one KTM and a couple Hondas otherwise.
I was in his stream earlier, and he actually said that, obviously he has his own suspension setup that he runs, but he said that he was making a setup for the Husky 250, since I think that's a bike that some guys like to run. And he said he liked it so much that he just wanted to ride the 450. He said the 250 felt good, so he figured why not the 450, and that's just what he's been running this whole time. Obviously, as you could tell by all the Yamahas, it's not the preferred bike that everyone wants to run, but he's making it look pretty fast out there.
Yeah, maybe a few guys going to be thinking about trying to get on that Husky for Moto 2 with the way the Chase is riding this bike. I kid, of course, everyone's got their setup styled, and they should be turning around in Moto 2 for a better one. But 2 laps to go on the track right now. Again, time expired, and this time through, Cam checked in to get that 2-lap board. Chase is inching closer to Wash, just made a little mistake at the top of the hill. It almost feels the exact same way as the TJ Wash battle we saw about 10 minutes ago, where it's a battle of the mistakes, but really Chase seems to have the speed, but the mistakes are also maybe a bit more as well, and it's holding him back.
Yeah, the mistakes can't cost you, but you're also seeing he is taking a couple different lines compared to these guys. So we've seen it week in and week out where he's always the first guy to swap up lines. And that also could be that he's used to taking different lines from always riding a different bike. At the final round on this track for Ariel, he rode a Suzuki and actually went 1-1. So he's fast on, almost any bike there is. And those bikes can obviously make you take different lines by not handling the road better. So that could be one thing that works for him, is riding all those different bikes is giving him a chance to, try different lines and know what's fast and what's not whenever the track gets rough.
Yeah, and all of these guys, again, championship hopefuls like Chase, Washed, Cam, they've all now lapped Brad as they see him go into the rearview mirror. And look at Chase, man. He is still just hawk-eyeing the race leader Washed up there. White flag is out this time by, though. Limited time left to make something happen. And I feel like Washed has got the upper hand, but also Chase has got him on penalties. So do you think Chase at this point is content to settle behind him because he knows he has him on cuts? Never mind. There goes Washed down before the finish line jump onto the final lap of the race. And Chase takes it over. No problem whatsoever.
Well, I guess that just made the decision needed for him to not have to really decide on it. But Wash, I know he's not willing to give up. He's obviously trying to get back into this championship fight. And that P2, those extra 2 points might help him big time and not lose as many points. It's only 3 points he'll lose to Cam instead of 5, as he's already been losing a ton from Cam coming out and winning a lot of these motos. So Wash definitely trying to make something happen. But with all the cuts that he has, I don't see it likely unless Chase has a mistake of his own right in front of him.
All right, well, that is the limited mistakes that we have seen all day long from Chase, working out in his favor to try to get second in this moto. But talking about limiting the mistakes, back to our leader Cam, coming down to Henry Hill on the last lap with a 25-second lead. Well, he got the whole shot and took off. I mean, he had a 10-second lead a few laps into this race, and he is stabilized, jumping over the lappers. Incredible ride here by Cam.
Yeah, just amazing. Something we've kind of seen a lot. If he gets a good start, he's always going to be out front and trying to pull away. And even from the backpack, like I said, he's able to move through. So, I mean, right now he's looking a little bit unstoppable, and that's going to be something for these guys to worry about in the coming motos.
Well, can they stop him in Moto 2 is the question we'll answer here in about 10 minutes when the gates drop again. But at least for now, as he lets Reed go by, it is going to be Cam taking the win in Moto 1 here at Budds Creek. Dominant performance, well-deserved victory. We'll take a peek back to the battle for a second as they come down the hill. Chase trying to get around Neon as a lapper. Washed and, is still right there trying to keep it close, but those penalties are not going to work out in his favor. Chase has done the deed to get all the way back to second, and a well-deserved second-place finish from a terrible start. Well done for Chase. And again, as we mentioned, Washed comes across in third. Brad a lap down. We got a new red plate holder.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you saw there he let Reed by at the end, but lapping up to pretty much P10 is, obviously has the pace to lap up into the top 10 as you've seen. So it's going to be hard for these guys to beat, but that start, if they don't let him get a whole shot again, it'll, that'll make it a little easier. But yeah, Cam just leading start to finish. It's up in what they have to do to beat him.
Incredible ride by Cam. Chase washed your podium. TJ will come across the line in fourth, just ahead of Willie, and he'll hold that position after penalties anyway. Had a few seconds on him. Silva over the line, P6. Again, I feel like that's a sneaky underrated ride. We know that Silva has some speed, but that consistency worked well in a top 6 result. I'm sure he'll be stoked.
Yeah, definitely should be. And also Steiner getting all the way up to P7 after being back there with Neon. So, like I said, he was able to come through the pack, and unfortunately it's probably not a top 5 that he wanted, but still a good ride after being so far and being buried in the back of the pack early.
Yeah, Aqua's up here, Vixnev and Reed, as you mentioned, all still on the lead lap. Reed will actually be the last guy probably to come across the line here, still on the lead lap. Good rides from them. Brad way down in the 16 position. Really tough break for him. Our guy Dizzle was up inside the top 5. He doesn't even score points in this moto, so I guess definitely not feeling the comfort with this track after those opening laps. Frustration for him, I'm sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think he'll be too frustrated. He's, flying out to MX Nations tomorrow, so he'll have that to, kind of cool him over and not really be so upset about his moto rides just, today and tonight, I guess.
Fair point. Everyone's a little bit happier when you show up to the racetrack, and I'm sure Dizzle will feel much more enthralled about that when we get there tomorrow. But that is Moto 1 done and dusted here in the AOMX FXR Championship. We got a little 5-minute break coming up here in just a moment. But before we do that, we're going to throw you guys to a quick commercial break. We'll be back on the other side of this with more AOMX FXR Championship in MX Bikes. Is coming this fall, and if you haven't been paying attention, you're missing out. A whole new game designed from the ground up by a super team of MX Bikes modders. Motocross the game will feature realistic physics, and it will be available on consoles as well as PC. What you're watching here is some alpha gameplay from the team as they continue to make steps towards a complete game at launch. Don't wait any longer and be the first in line by pre-ordering the game now through the link in the description below, and be sure to use the code SYSMTG, that's SYSMTG, all one word, when you check out to get 2% off your pre-order. We can't wait to shred this exciting new game with you all very soon. And we're back for round number 6 of the 2025 AOMX FXR Championship in MX Bikes. Kellen Brower in studio alongside Talon. One race in the books here at Budds Creek, and a dominant victory there by Cam in the end of it. But obviously the start will be a big factor going into Moto 2. Do we see some shenanigans on the start this time around where guys maybe try to get an inside gate pick and run Cam wide?
Yeah, maybe. I'm not too positive. I think he had 4th or 5th gate pick from the inside, so we'll see how many people are going to try to choose right next to him. Maybe squeeze him off. I thought he was going to get squeezed off on that last start, but he actually was still able to pull out the whole shot and get around that first turn in first place. So wait and see if these guys can do. I don't really expect him to really, obviously take him out, but maybe cut him off a little bit. And, if these guys want any chance, it looks like they got to stop him from getting a good start here in Moto number 2.
Yeah, and we need to see some other heavy hitters get better starts. Of course, Chase needs a better one. TJ was up there, but maybe not as high as he would have hoped. Washed also didn't get that bad of a start, but definitely kind of dropped a little bit after Cam started sneaking away. So if you guys got to turn it around. We'll talk about Brad again. Provisionally speaking, has lost the championship lead. This is now fully damage control. Does he have anything in the tank for Moto 2 to try to get this back on the right track?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, he had a top 5 start in that Moto number 1 and went down in the rollers. So if he does go down, I'd like to see it later in the lap where everyone's more spread out. But unfortunately, he just went down when everyone is still all clustered together, and that's what cost him. And we've seen it time and time again. He just struggles to move through the pack here on the 450. I don't know how it was on the 254 in an EU, but definitely on the 450, he just cannot move through the pack. So those starts really have to help him, and he's been getting them. It's just unfortunate those early crashes are what's costing him in these motos here.
Absolutely. And for him, just got to try to regroup and obviously get a better start in this second moto. Hey, let's give a big thanks to FXR, FXRRacing.com. They just released another new set of their 2026 line today, and awesome to see what the boys are doing over there. Obviously, cool to see how they integrate into your championship this year. Obviously, we love Dan over there and Andy, Milt, all the guys at FXR. Really big help for putting on this AOMX championship, right?
Oh yeah, definitely helped out getting some prizes for these guys. Finished, I think, top 3 in this championship. So, all good to them. Thank you for them for obviously helping out, getting some more prizes for these guys. We just wanted to make sure we got something else for them, as we were lowering the end of the year prize pool to be able to pay these guys per, moto. And, I'm just glad they were able to come along and help us out and really give these guys a little bit extra for winning this championship.
And hey, it's awesome in general to see more real-life moto companies getting involved in the gaming space, esports, MX bikes, whatever it may be. It's an awesome community of people, and I'm sure it's the same for you, but the gamers that I know that play these games are some of the most diehard moto fans that are out there. They follow the sport religiously. So if you have real life companies kind of supporting the game as FXR does, it's cool to see them kind of give back to a community of dedicated moto people like this.
Yeah, it's definitely super cool. Like I said, a lot of these guys, we obviously all follow it like throughout the year. We're constantly looking at, obviously with this season, it's been really crazy with, obviously the silly season with everyone looking to swap brands, bikes. We've got Ducati coming in next year that a lot of us know about. So it's obviously super amazing to see real life, brands get into this. We've had, I think Waxed was in it. I don't know if they still are. Obviously G Fuel came in and sponsored a few riders, mostly the YouTubers. So that might have been a more YouTube thing, but obviously FXR coming in here and all these brands just showing up and obviously showing that they care about the moto community, and hopefully it can help us get a little bit bigger, because it might be a little bit of a niche thing right now. So hopefully it can get bigger and be more for those IRL esports events that we had in the past, and hopefully it gets more in the future.
Absolutely fantastic to see. And again, big thanks to FXR Racing. Tanner Shaw in chat says, do you know when the 2026 OEMs come out? That is a talent question for sure.
I'm not sure if there ever will be a 26 OEMs, because what I've heard is that there might have been a bit of fighting in the OEM team, or they haven't been too motivated, because obviously a lot of their OEMs got ripped for people to use as model swaps when obviously they didn't want them out for free. Because obviously it's a lot of work to do models. You could see, I think, Isaiah Dickerson's post some on Twitch where you see him spend countless of hours to perfect a model and all that. So they put in a lot of work, and obviously people ripping them can, make them lose motivation. So we'll see. We were supposed to have a updated one at the beginning of Outdoors, and, we're 5 months past that and still haven't gotten anything new. So it's really up to all of them, and if they're feeling motivated to create a new one for this game.
And also a lot of the OEM teams, guys are up onto the Motocross the game side of it too, so they're focused on that a little bit as well. But what we're focused on is Moto2 coming at you live here on SYS TV. We are off and running in Budds Creek. Down the inside, TJ pushes everybody out wide and through the middle. Look at the turnaround. Brad trying to go for the hole shot. Cam is up the middle as well as we go 3 or 4 wide over the top of the jump. Couldn't see if it was Cam or Brad, but this is a huge start and maybe a massive turnaround for our former championship leader.
Yeah, Brad got the whole shot, but Cam getting by him quickly, and Brad down once again on the finish line.
No.
You need to see it. Another early crash costing him, but it's Cam had washed up front, has washed down again on that same jump. The same crashes are happening to these guys, so it's TJ. Neon actually getting a good start. Silva and Chase is up here in the top 5 early. We'll see if he could hang with Cam as TJ knocks Neon off as he goes off track as well.
Yeah, this is not a replay of Moto 1 we're watching right now, as much as it kind of looks like it, but it is Cam getting away, TJ moving up into second. Man, some guys are absolutely buried in the field. I saw a few big names back in the pack as we're watching them all go through the off-camber. The difference, though, is that Chase is in 3rd place, so a much better start for him. Cam's got a lot of heavy hitters right behind him from the start, and TJ looks like he's already trying to go after him for the lead.
Yeah, TJ trying to go after the lead, but Chase, as we saw late in that second moto, he's setting the lap times that were 2 seconds quicker than Cam, so if he's able to hang with him early, he has a good chance at
making a good pass for his lead and hanging with him. You see Cam actually going down the inside here. It looks like he's missing the rut. He may be doing it to avoid all the rough stuff, and TJ losing a little bit of touch, but Chase, we'll see if he could get around TJ quickly and set his sights on him, or if TJ can, regroup and make it happen again.
How about Chase, though, with this start? That could be critical for someone who could stick with Cam. And I know that Cam has got some, friendly people maybe helping him out a little bit. He's trying to keep it quiet in the evening there in the UK and not talk too much himself. But someone's got to have updated him that Chase is up here. And look at that. He is already on TJ for second place. Oh, but he's into the back of him and goes down. Only going to lose a couple of spots as Aqua and Neon go by. But that was a critical moment there. Chase tried to maybe rush it a little bit too quick with TJ.
Yeah, just maybe a little bit forced. He might have been trying to get there early to try and hopefully give himself as much time as possible to get around Cam, but it looks like he's actually up here with a whole bunch of European riders battling with him, so that could have been what caused him with a little bit of lag, so wait and see if he could regroup and move forward like he did in that Moto number 2 as he's making another mistake here, and Neon looking down the inside.
Yeah, I got sideways and Neon thought about it, but backed out of the challenge, so Chase getting thrown around a little bit. Meanwhile, Cam's lead already out to about 4 seconds. It doesn't look that far. I think TJ maybe has a penalty or two after that first lap. Off-track excursion getting into a couple people, and our leader's down. Cam is down before the race tech table. He's going to get going back in second place before Aquas gets there, but now TJ has taken over the physical race lead on track, even though he does have a little bit of penalties. First time we've seen Cam do the chasing all day long.
Yeah, so the first time I think we've seen a full mistake, and he's down once again, back-to-back. Chase is going to go by into P3 and Aqua into P2. So now it's Cam having to chase after Chase and not the other way around. So we'll see if Chase can, pull a bit of a gap, but Cam might be trying to make quick work of him. He's looking down the inside here.
Oh, and TJ's off the track at the bottom of the hill. Into the race lead goes Aquas out of nowhere to the front. Chase into second. TJ settles back into third. 4 riders out front in a freight train battling for the lead. Cam cuts back across. Chase and TJ get together, and Chase goes down. Cam back into second place.
Oh, man, Chase might not be too happy with TJ. There has 2 times where he's collided with him, and unfortunately he's gone down, and TJ has been able to stay up, but now he has to go back to chasing down Cam as Cam is trying to set his sights on Aquas to get back into that lead quickly and maybe pull ahead as, he gave these guys a little bit of, room, gave them a shot to make something happen. Unfortunately, they lost it. Now Cam looking to pull away once again.
TJ and Chase both flustered, getting thrown around in the background, have lost a lot of positions. Aquas and Cam now opening up that gap out front as into third goes Neon, KFC, Reed, then TJ. Silva's up here again, and then Chase bringing up Caboose as they round out the top 10 a little bit, but a lot of changing on that last lap alone, and TJ and Chase really have got to settle down. They've made way too many mistakes.
Yeah, they might have got a little flustered seeing that as KFC goes down and they all get around him, but yeah, they probably got a little bit flustered finally seeing a mistake from Cam and getting around him. It ended up costing him big time. Both of the crashes, Chase really couldn't do anything to avoid him, maybe being a little more patient on that first one, but that second one, TJ ran into him, and unfortunately it cost him big time. So Chase 2 crashes that might have not have been fully his fault, and now he has to reset and look ahead once again and try to make a charge.
TJ still working on Neon just up the road of him. Back to our leader for a moment. Cam has passed Aquas, so Cam is back to the lead. And after all of that chaos, it looks like it's going to be Cam, Neon, TJ, Silva, Reed, and Chase. Aquas had a terrible crash at the top of the uphill right there and just lost about 7 or 8 positions. So he goes from the lead back to almost 10th in one foul swoop. And we are kind of back to where we were about 2 laps ago. After all that is said and done, just a couple other faces in the mix once again.
Yeah, it looks like Chase is ahead of a lot of these guys because he does not have any cuts, and almost everyone in front of him does. So that's helping him out big time. You see TJ down once again, so that's another free spot for Chase. And yeah, now he has to try and make quick work of these guys to maybe go after Cam. There's already 9 seconds. Oh, and he runs into the pole there along with Reed. You hate to see it for him. Just mistake after another for Chase, and unfortunately we'll see if he could regroup quickly, or it might cost him big time as even more chaos with KFC and TJ behind him.
Yeah, TJ runs into KFC, who was down. I saw side by side Chase was trying to get by. That was Neon, I think it was, or Aqua was up there, and I don't know. It's just all kicking off. We had Sylvia side by side going at it with TJ. Then they collided and went down. So now Neon moves up into second Silva third now, I should say. And then just behind that, it's pure chaos. Looks like Chase is officially locked down 4th. Aqua's to the 5 spot. KFC. What is going on with TJ right now? I don't know if it's just all the chaos with the traffic around him or what, but he has made a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes for our defending champion.
Yeah, a lot of mistakes and a lot of, running into people who make their own mistakes, and it's costing him big time here as now he has to get around KFC. See if he be patient about it. And obviously your top or second and third right now, the gap does look a little bigger than it actually is because Neon and Silva both have 5 seconds of cuts on him. So realistically, looks like Neon is only about 4 seconds behind Cam on track, but those cuts might cost him more towards the end of this moto.
TJ's got a lot of work to do with some guys gathered around him as we see Cam going up big gulp. This is not what the rest of the field needed, was Cam to have a gap. He threw it away by himself on the first couple laps of this race. Settled down, though, and looks to be back in the groove as the track continues to deteriorate. Now, the one difference is that Chase is a bit closer than he was, obviously, in Moto 1, and we'll keep tabs on that. But Cam looks like he is ready to set sail once again here in Moto 2.
Yeah, definitely trying to check out again in the rough road here. As we'll see how much of a pace he sets in this lap whenever it is completed. But he's definitely got a big gap to Neon and P2, who obviously we saw Moto 1. He was working through the pack, was actually dead last, got up to 10th at one point and then back down to 15th. So we know he has pace, but now he has some free room to actually use it. But Silva not really let him go in that P3 for another sneaky ride for him.
Yeah, really good one. Again, 6th in the first moto. Neon, not so good ending to his first moto, but ran well. And then Silva, like you said, up there as well. Seems as though Chase has settled down from all that chaos, and now he can ride his own race a little bit. He doesn't have to worry about TJ on him anymore. He's got no one really behind him, actually. Big gap back to KFC and Aquas. So we'll see if Chase can kind of lock in a little bit here and close up to that battle for second, which is starting to get a little bit tighter. I'm not sure if Neon's starting to feel the pressure from Silva or just not going the speed of Silva, because it does seem a lot closer right now than it was about a lap ago.
Yeah, definitely a little closer. Like I said, Chase also settling down behind him. Both him and Cam ran 49s, and everyone else is running 51s or slower. So Neon was only 2/10 slower than Silva, but Silva, we'll see how consistent he can be. Maybe miss the end of that rut there. Might have been on purpose. Never really know with these guys, with them trying to cut ruts and go out of ruts and all that. But Silva really, keeping Neon honest here, and one mistake from Neon and it's going to cost him big time, and Silva will get by and maybe even chase off of cuts.
And hey, sneakily so, they're not that far behind Cam on track, even though they do have a little bit more penalties gathered up than our race leaders, so they can actually see what is technically the front of the field right now, which is also a cool feeling when you're in this position, as Neon clips the banners, somehow rides out of it, but does lose that position. Silva moves up into second. How about that save, though, Talon? He got kicked sideways. He hit his rear tire on that pole on the left side of the track, rode a swap all the way down Henry Hill, and rides out of it to hold on for third.
Yeah, definitely a sketchy one for him. Definitely got the heart rate spike, and maybe the hand's a little more sweaty from that one. But you can also see by the live timing, looks like Cam made a mistake just right before that happened. So that's got to be, got to suck for Neon, as you know that Cam made a mistake, and then unfortunately you make one right after it. So, but like I said, one mistake from Neon, and Silva back into P2. So we'll see if he can make anything happen, or if he's just going to, ride his race and maybe bring it home for a solid podium on the moto.
Yeah, and I think if you're Cam in this situation, the two guys behind you haven't exactly proven to be race winners, so you're probably not too concerned about that situation. We know Neon can do the job in 250s, but just talking 450s here for a second. And Cam looks to have it pretty well locked down out front. A lot of time before he's going to get into some deep lap traffic, but we'll keep tabs on that. Chase still back here in fourth. Let's find ourselves a battle, shall we? KFC coming down the hill in fifth, just ahead of Aqua's on track. And then Wash jumping down with Willie a few seconds behind him. Brad, better moto, not where he wants to be just yet, though. P9, he's up ahead of Dr. Gio, Kobaha, Reed, a few names that were beating him in the first moto. So a little bit better, but still not quite the same Brad we expected.
Yeah, definitely not. I want to point out, you see on the leaderboard, TJ's in 15th. He's actually just behind Brad here, but he does have 11 seconds of cut, which is what's costing him all that time and pushing him down to P14 on the leaderboard. So He's right here, but just all those mistakes with other people are costing him big time when it comes to cuts, and that's definitely not what he wants to see, and now he's going to have to put on a big charge to even maybe salvage a top 10 with all those cuts.
Yeah, and so much of that came from all of the chaos, the crashing, the banging bars early in the race. Again, some of it not his fault, but still just the way it falls when you play MX bikes and you get yourself in one of those early dramatic knockdown battles for the race lead and so on and so forth. But again, like you said, he's going to try to remount and come through. He's actually pretty close again to Brad in a fight for what would be 9th on the racetrack. The gaps have definitely opened up, though, pretty early on. There's not a whole lot of close racing going on the track right now. Looks like Silva did get it by Neon by quite a bit. In fact, Neon has slipped behind Chase, so a couple of mistakes by Neon really hurting his case right now, as even after cuts he's behind a few other guys. KFC up in the mix as well, right behind Chase. So these guys are losing time battling each other, but really dramatic stuff as Neon is losing 4 or 5 spots as we watch his progress now.
I don't really know what happened to him. He just started obviously making those mistakes, and it has cost him big time. And now he's got a battle with KFC, who, like we've been talking about, is not afraid to ride a wide bike from these guys. But Chase back into this thing, but trying to work his way forward. And like you see on the leaderboard, though, it's 21 seconds that he has to gain on Cam, as it looks like they both have 1 second of cuts. So yeah, that is a real 21 seconds he has to gain to catch back up and maybe pass Cam for an overall win.
Yeah, and he has to pass Silva on track still, which even though it shows him on the leaderboard as having done so, he hasn't quite done just yet. KFC just shoving Posty as a lapper out of the way to try to make some room for himself. Looks like coming back on the track was Silva, so never mind. There you go. Silva down off the track before the bottom of Big Gulp, hands that position firmly over to Chase. Chase now has clear track in second by himself. But look at this fight, man. KFC, Silva, Neon going at it coming up to Henry Hill. This is essentially for 3rd place on track, and they're not giving each other an inch.
Yeah, definitely not. Ooh, and Silva down he goes, trying to hit an inside rut there. So now it's between KFC and Neon. KFC does have less cuts than Neon here, so obviously we'll have him on timing and scoring. But, Neon definitely trying to make something happen, trying to get back into that podium position that he was earlier in this moto. We do have 16 minutes left, so we'll see if he can hold on and keep this pace up with KFC, as KFC actually loops out there. Got too much on the power there, 450, a little too much power for him, and ends up looping out before the finish. And now it's all kind of spread out between those 3.
Yeah, so just as soon as we thought we had a battle, there it goes. Just a couple of mistakes have really turned the tides right there. A little sneaky ride coming through, though, washed after that first in Moto 1. Couple early crashes in this one really killed him, but he's now almost to the back of Silva just up the road. He's actually passed him as well on cuts, but still has to actually pass him on the track. And I don't know, it seems like Washed might be trying to make a run to make this pretty much the exact same 1-2-3 we saw in the first moto.
Yeah, definitely. I think I saw him as low as 20th place there. So he's definitely had to put in a lot of work to, slowly move through this pack. And, it's paying off. He's got to get past the end. I think he does still have that P3 overall with TJ down in P10 and Willie down in P8. So, he's still on the road for a P3 overall, but I definitely would like another moto podium, to keep adding to his season so far. As we did see at the top of the show, he's only been off the podium 1 moto so far through the first 6 rounds now.
Yeah, and as we've mentioned with Brad's woes today, this is kind of starting to become the championship battle if you really want to look into it closer, of Wash versus Cam. Chase being a bit of a supporting character at this point as well. So Wash is going to do everything he can to limit the damage on what Cam is doing today. Keep it as close as possible and hopefully not let this thing get too far out of reach, especially with the form we've seen. Cam's certainly on one, but he can only gain so many points every moto.
And it looks like we actually lost KFC. He went down somewhere. Might have been on Henry Hill, so that was a free spot for Wash. And now he has to worry about getting past Neon. He almost has him on cuts, but he's still ahead of him on track, so he's got to actually worry. And also Silva's still ahead of him on track as well that he has to pass.
Yeah, everyone's still trying to jockey for those positions. I know the leaderboard can be kind of confusing, especially when we see where these riders actually are on the track, but that is simply just down to it actually being able to tell you how many cuts are going on before the race is even over. Now, MX Bikes has got Sim, I guess, mastered on that, because we don't know until after the race whether position will change. But kind of interesting to see how it plays out. Neon goes for a bit of a ride right there, gets a rut all wrong, and lays it down just as Wash does in the same corner. So, hey, the track is definitely wearing in. Some of these deep ruts are getting these guys as we have come down to the final half of Moto 2. Track's dug in, and we're seeing a lot of line changes start to happen.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like a knuckle at the beginning of that rut where you saw them both go down, that they're probably hitting their front tire width and it's just kicking them weird. So that might have been what caused both of their wrecks, and now Silva is ahead of him on the leaderboard because of those 2 crashes. So still a good, solid, quiet ride for Silva here in that P3 position.
Yeah, very, very solid out of Silva. Going to factor in for getting close, but maybe no cigar for that overall podium as we see Chase going over the uphill just ahead of him. Incredible to see how close that is, and then 16 seconds between them thanks to the penalties. Chase riding that consistent race. Wash still keeping it nice and close here, trying to get a little bit closer to Silva just up the road. Neon a little bit ahead of that as well. KFC keeping it close. Hey, we'll go back a little bit further and see that TJ, with all of those penalties, is finally slotted into 9th, which means he must be much closer to these guys than we're given credit for, because there's Willie. How close is TJ now? It looks like KFC just went down a ton. He was up here. He slipped behind Willie and Brad, and TJ is... oh, man, some of these guys are actually still ahead of TJ, so never mind. I thought he was a little bit further up.
He might have had a crash. This might have been what happened. We'll see. I think it updates here at Henry Hill for the timing for him. But yeah, it looks like he did have a crash, because I think I did see him ahead of those guys beforehand. And unfortunately, it just cost him big time. Yeah, you see him starting to fall down the order. They're down to P12 now because of it. So not something you want to see from TJ after working so hard, and now he has to do it all over again to get past these guys and get back into a top 10 spot.
Yeah, somewhere lost like 14, 15 seconds based on what his gap was before that updated and after. But like you said, down to 12th. He's behind Reed on track, who is in 10th, but has a few more penalties than that. So Kobaha is ahead of him. Man, what happened to KFC, by the way, as well? We saw him flipping down the back of that big single after Big Gulp, and he was right in the mix with Wash, Neon, all those guys a moment ago, and suddenly he's, what, 30 seconds behind them? So he must have had several crashes in a row. It's gone terribly for him these last couple of minutes.
Yeah, it showed he ran a 2:13 lap time, and then for reference, everyone else is running about a 1:55, so he was about 20 seconds slower than everyone else, so that's the amount of crashes that he had. So, yeah, just unfortunately a bad lap for him, cost him a chance at obviously a podium, and now he's battling for P8 and maybe even almost getting pushed out of the top 10 if he has a few more mistakes. But yeah, just small mistakes like that can add up, and it looks like it added up a lot for him on that lap.
Just goes to show that even late in the race, you're never safe from a few bad moments or crashes, as KFC lost a ton of ground. Back to Brad, just ahead of him, though. P7 this moto after 16th in the first one, and it's not going his way as he, wow, barrel rolls after casing Big Gulp and rides out of it. That was a save and a half and almost saved him a few more positions being lost. So, you know, 7th, it's better, but it's not where he has been basically this entire season up to this point. Watching the red plate disappear from his hands today, and I feel like even 7th, he's going to be leaving here pretty frustrated.
Yeah, as he looks like he just went down there again. So, like I said, he's been struggling to even get into those top 5s. We've seen him get 7th multiple times, and it's looking like he might get another one here. And yeah, just not what we're used to seeing through those first 3 rounds. And I don't know if we'll be able to get back into form in these final about 4 rounds here, so I have to wait and see if he can make himself get back into this championship in those last 4 rounds, or if Cam might just walk away with it if no one else can, you know, reel him in like Chase has been trying to do this whole moto, but unfortunately just has not been working out for him.
Yep, it's just a tough day at the office for Brad. Fantastic day, though, for Cam and many others throughout the field. Look a little bit further up. We see Willie putting Hunter a lap down. A couple names we haven't seen much of today. Going up the uphill, we got Nathan a lap down. How far up is Cam now? Is he past Henry Hill, or did I just pass him? Yeah, there's Chase, so he's way past Henry Hill. Just incredible day for Cam. 10 minutes or so plus 2 laps still to go before we can really lock this thing down. But Goodness gracious, what a day when he really has just been chipping away at the points. It hasn't been these monumental 1-1 lockdown days or anything like that to get back in the championship chase, other than, a couple moto wins to really turn the tides. But this one is kind of proving that maybe he is the guy in this championship, and you're going to have to go through him not only to get the red plate back, but to actually win this thing when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I think I have to double check, but he might have had a moto win almost at least one of them every round, so something helped him stay in it. Like I said, after round 2, he said he couldn't keep up anymore, and he might not be racing the series anymore, but here we are 4 rounds after that, and he's looking to take a big chunk of points on Brad and get into that points lead. So, I mean, he also said it last week at the podium that he's back, and he's really showing it right now. Chase definitely having more pace. Last lap he ran a 52.8 and Cam had a mistake and he ran a 59.5, so Chase really has to hope for more of those mistakes, but if not, it might be too little too late for him to catch back up to Cam.
I mean, we've talked about Brad's struggles, could be lack of playing time, could be a lot of different factors. What do you think it is specifically about Cam? And I'm sure we'll ask him in the post-race interview, but, what's been hitting for him of late to just really find this form again? He missed a round, we get it. It probably doesn't, look as bad as we really are making it sound from coming back from so far back, but just lately he's been a different force, it almost seems.
Yeah, it could be many things. It could also be confidence. Like I said, he did win that SMX playoffs title, so he could be having some more confidence from that. It could just been, like I said, playing more for SMX playoffs, since he kind of knew that the aerial championships were over with. So, like I said, it could be many different factors, but he's really showing that he is one of the best in the game and really proven it, and not letting these guys have any chance of coming back into this title and maybe, hopefully, extend his points lead.
Yep. So Cam still leads this race, and a big gap back to Chase. We thought he might be the challenger here in Moto 2. Turns out not to be the case. I mean, obviously, we'll talk to him after this about the incidents early in this one that really cost him, but speed seemingly still there. Consistency lacked early in the race, and he is going to really kind of regret that it wasn't better earlier on.
Yeah, he got an opening from Cam's mistake, and unfortunately, I think he just got a little flustered. Maybe not, because it was a TJ running into the back of him, and just unfortunately wrong place, wrong time for Chase, and just could never regroup. And those mistakes right after Cam got back in the lead and losing all that time getting behind that pack and having to move through him again. It's just a bunch of things stacking on top of one another, and unfortunately it cost him. And yeah, too little too late, unless we have a bunch of mistakes from Cam to maybe make something happen here.
Yep, so Chase just going to try to ride it home, get that 2-2, and surprise, surprise, we didn't even really talk too much about it, but the passes have been made, and already Wash is back into third place, so we're looking at a pretty consistent podium across the board on the day. Very different ways of getting there in both motos, interestingly enough. But Wash back into P3, got around Silva and Willie the last couple of laps and has really taken off. Does he still have a shot at catching Chase, you think, in this race, or is that one maybe too far gone too?
I think he definitely has a chance. It all depends on the, obviously, if Chase makes mistakes or how he does with lappers. But Wash, he definitely has a chance with the pace that he's running. He ran a 51.5 last lap compared to Chase's 54.3. So if that keeps happening, he definitely has a good chance at catching up to him. But he also might need a little bit of help depending on whenever Cam crosses that line, if it expires or not on the timing as he clips. I don't know if it was him earlier, but somebody else hit that. And they might be trying to jump too far left from that little braking bump, and it's costing them big time with those crashes.
Or it's simply that braking bump is so big, it's just kicking them left now. There could be a big notch or something in there, throwing these guys for a bit of a loop. Either way, Wash crashes, doesn't lose the position, still holding on to the third position, and back to Silva in fourth. A 6-4 day for him. Have to imagine this should lock down fourth overall, seeing where everybody else has gone back in this moto. But coming out of the woodworks a little bit on the 550 SPX Yamaha, doing the deed here at Butts Creek. I'm not sure if this is a track that he's fond of or what have you, but certainly has shown up to play and really proving that it doesn't matter what SPX puts on the track, they're going to find a way to battle up inside the top 5.
Yeah, definitely making his name known here in this championship. Really good showing. A little bit of luck with TJ, unfortunately, having all those crashes, but You always need a little bit of luck to do good in this game. So, and Silva really getting it and able to get that P4 overall if things stay the way they are. I'm doing a point out front. It's come down to about 17 seconds for Chase, so maybe a small mistake from Cam, which you can't really afford too many more of those. Otherwise, Chase will close in even more. So, obviously, got to keep an eye on that. But unless a big mistake happens with Cam or with lappers, I don't really see it coming down too much more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Cam probably had a few mistakes in the bag anyway that he could really just make happen, and it's going to be fine. He's probably going to win this moto. It doesn't really make that much of a difference. Does he want Chase to win it? Absolutely not, but I think those mistakes aren't going to cost him too much. And lap traffic-wise, there's also not that many guys ahead of him. He's going to hit 1, 2, maybe 3 or 4 in the next handful of laps, with how much things have opened up. Interestingly enough, TJ might end up being one of them with the way things have gone for the number 1 in this race. So I guess that could play a factor late in this moto if Chase keeps charging and Cam runs into some lap traffic problems. It's always easier to be the second guy through the lappers, and Chase has got the benefit of that again this moto.
Yeah, it's now down to 15.5, so he gained 2 seconds there in just about the last half a lap. He ran a 53.5 compared to Cam's 54.3, so, he's slowly gaining, but like I said, it might be too little too late. I think he's got about 3, maybe 4 laps left in this moto.
All right, so can Chase close this down, or is this too far gone in the first place for Cam as he has solidified this lead? He's led every lap but 1, I think, today, which again is just another stat that shows his dominance on this track, and he's trying to lock it down here once again in Moto 2. Finally about to catch the back of those lappers, and with the track as rough as it is, how difficult is it as a lapper to even get out of the way at this point in time?
Yeah, it's always difficult because, obviously you want to get out of the way, but you also, if you're going into a rut that you're not familiar with, you could always overshoot it or go down, which you also don't want to do that in front of a leader and end up crashing because your bike could always go flipping into him. So it's really difficult, and most of the time you have to slow down a lot, but a lot of these guys don't really want to do that because now they're lapping guys that are fighting for championship points. So yeah, it just really depends on where you catch them and how rough the track is up to that point.
So Cam getting a little sideways down that downhill right there. Going to have, looks like that is CYS MXB move out of the way, who's in 15th place. Kudos to him as well. Very solid ride by CYS to get some points in this one. No slouch whatsoever. Even if you're getting put a lap down, to still pick up some points. It's beating Dizzle. Dizzle's having another rough one out there. 18th place. We're going to get a couple points out of the Diz today.
Oh yeah, a couple points. Probably wanted more in that first one with that top 5 start, but I have to wait and see. And also, it's down to 12.2, so don't know if Cam is just laying back. We obviously saw it at Flanders Moto 2 towards the end when Wash was catching him. He was able to turn it back on, so we'll wait and see if he is just saving it and trying not to push it and go down through the rough stuff, or if Chase really is just able to move that much quicker. As you see him, he is taking a couple different alternate lines that are quite smoother than compared to the normal line, except for right there where he makes a small mistake.
Yeah, I thought he was going down for a second there. As CYS, I mean, goodness gracious, kudos to him. He's letting guys go. He's getting passed by Chris because he's just letting everyone go by on the track. So nicely done to be a good lapper, but my gosh, guy, go back and get in that race, man. You got to keep on that top 15 position if you can, as Cam works his way down before Big Gulp. And time is about to expire, so that is the best friend for Cam right now, is that clock, because it is done. 2 laps coming out next time by. That's going to be a very nice sign for Cam that he's got this thing still under control, because the speed in which Chase is going in second place is not fast enough to run Cam down on merit alone with how much time is left in this race. So I think Cam, you might be right, might just be laying back a little bit like we saw at Flanders, managing this race, trying to bring it home, especially with how treacherous this track is getting. Don't crash, don't throw it away, just bring this thing to the checkered flag.
Yeah, and unfortunately I was watching Chase there, and he did the same thing that Wash did. He clipped it on Henry Hill and ended up going down, so that might seal it for him. He even lost some time there coming up to Henry Hill. He lost about a second to Cam, so looks like Cam did pick the pace back up, and with Chase going down, that pretty much sealed it with these last 2 laps here to go for him.
Yep, Cam finally into some of the lappers that I had mentioned, but probably about done now. We look back to Chase coming over the line. I want to see what it shows the gap as. Obviously, a little bit of penalties will change that around, but 17 seconds. He got it down to 11. So we can say it was actually about 10 or so. But, yeah, got it closer. Then it's back out to about where it was, I should say. And Cam, little mistake there, but I don't know. These lappers, there's still a lot that he's got to get through. And we saw early in this race, when you're in a pack, just how quickly things can spiral. Big crashes, your bike goes for a little bit of a tumble, and you take a much longer fall-off crash. So Cam is not totally out of the woods just yet, I would say.
Yeah, and these are all guys battling for what looks to be up to about 13th on track. So that's quite a big amount of points, especially the guys that are always back here. You see Gooey actually go slipping over the bars. But yeah, some of these guys are battling for quite a bit of points that could move them up, especially if they're all fighting for the back and want to get as high as possible. So it could prove a bit troublesome for Cam, but with the big gap, he's got to know that he doesn't have to force a pass if he doesn't need to, and we'll see how quickly he could work around him. It looks like that lapper clipped the top of it like everyone did, but it's able to save it of Kobija.
Yeah, Kobija is right there up in the 11 spot. Pax is also in this mix. I don't see TJ. How far up the road is he? He is... I mean, he must be way ahead of these. Oh, he's going over the finish line. Yep, 18 seconds to cut, so going over the finish line jump right now. Cam into that mix, though, trying to get around these guys. Got around Kobija and a couple others as he comes down to take the white flag, putting more guys a lap down. Insane run here today at Budds Creek. It's back down to 14 seconds, but he's working through these lappers quite nicely. No big mistakes, and one lap to bring it home for the 1-1.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if it's his first 1-1 of the year, but, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see more of it with the way he's been riding. Chase, obviously, setting another burner of 51.5 here with this rough track, only 2 seconds slower than the fastest lap of the race, so he's still putting in the work, but like I said, too little too late, and that one crash might have ruined it for him, and now Cam just has to hold on as he got through that big pack of lappers and only has maybe 1 or 2 ahead of him left on this lap to pass to, you know, get a bit of free room to finish this last half a lap.
Yep, just lapped Pax, who is in the 12 spot. Looks like Hicklin, Hunter, a couple other guys that are further back. Actually, Hicklin 9th after penalties, so those TJ penalties really hurting him right now as Cam has worked around a few of those guys. One more time over Big Gulp. The lip of that is absolutely nasty, so we're not going to get any big whips or anything like that. But, yeah, incredible day for Cam. Done the job that was necessary. And really, it just goes back to that early mistake, and we'll talk to him after the race about that. But the recovery from that was incredible, to not let it get too much in his own head, not to overreact to it, especially with a couple of the big names up here battling with him. And he was able to regroup right away, get back into the lead a lap later after Aqua's led for 1 lap. And otherwise, it's been all Cam as he goes for a little bit of a tumble right there. Going to lose some time, but again, Chase 16 seconds back. So lets a few of the guys that he did end up lapping go by. Pax is done. He doesn't want to go anymore, but Cam is going all the way to the flag. A 1-1 day at Budds Creek. Cam on top at round 6 of the championship.
Yeah, amazing ride from him. Chase obviously making it close towards the end. If he didn't have that crash, it definitely could have been a close one here. He finishes 12 seconds back. So, yeah, obviously he's probably real frustrated about that crash towards the end of the moto, but still a good 2-2 finish after the way that his, season's kind of gone for him. And then Wash coming around in P3 for your 3rd place in the overall. So still really good rides from these guys. Wash and Chase probably beating themselves up from small mistakes they had early in the moto to kind of cost them a chance at a win, but all in all, still good rides from those guys.
Yeah, and that's going to be your podium, Cam, Chase, and Wash right there. As we see Champ come by in the 17 spot. There's Silva, man of the day, in my opinion. A 6'4" ride out of him. Terrific stuff by the 550. And an underrated ride. We didn't talk much about Willie here today, but he is going to end up 5th in this moto. He's still sneakily kind of in the championship. Actually, Steiner is going to pass him on the last lap. I don't know if that's going to flip based on penalties as Willie goes by right behind him. Now, Willie did get him on cut, so there you go. Neon ends up in the 7th spot. Brad will lock down 8th. Yeah, because he's right here, and TJ's the next guy on track, but he's way down the order. Dizzle's going to pick up one lonely point in this race. Congratulations, Dizzle, P20. We all worked for it on some level. Ducky, little ride for him. Actually, 19th for Dizzle. Does Ducky get him back? Yes, he does on penalties. There's TJ and all of his cuts. Somehow, some way, a top 10 in this moto with everything that went wrong for him. Comes across in 9th. And Hicklin, I believe, is the last guy to finish up. No, Reed actually is going to move up into 10th on the final lap. So Reed got by. 10th for him. Hicklin is close. Is it going to come down to cuts? Yeah, Hicklin gets him back. Nicely done. So Hicklin rounds out the top 10. But it's a Cam Chase washed 1, 2, 3 kind of day here at Budds Creek.
Cam, like I said, just showing how dominant he is and how much he can, or how much he should be winning by. And he's shown that he's a force to be reckoned with in this championship. And we'll see if Chase and Wash can, bring it back next week and hopefully try to fight him a little bit longer and not let him get away and get a good start.
Absolutely. So an incredible day by Cam. We can't wait to speak with him in just a moment. But now he is your championship leader, I believe, with the way the math has worked out. And 4 rounds of this championship left to go. I find it tough to believe someone else is going to knock him off the pedestal with what we just saw today.
Yeah, it's going to be challenging. I do actually have it updated right now. He's got a 21-point lead over Brad now, who's moved down to 2nd. Wash is 3rd, 23 back, and Chase is 4th, 34 back. So,
wow.
Definitely flip the script. He came in 11 points down, and now he's leaving 21 points up.
Life comes at you fast, Brad. That is very, very sure of that. Even with a 16-8 day, he still loses that many points, which is incredible. So we'll talk to Cam. We'll probably talk to Dizzle here in a minute if he pulls himself up here to talk about that tough day at the races. There he is. We'll talk to Dizzle here for just a quick second. Hey, you got a point.
Yeah, it is. I'm not even. It's whatever. I'm just here to hang out with the boys. You know what I mean? It's. Whoops. My bad. Yeah, no, I'm just chilling. Just
hey, that's
hanging out.
spirit.
Put some laps in. Listen. I'm about to fly out to MX of Nations tomorrow, baby. I don't care about tonight. I'm hosting the race for everybody and just doing some laps, and we're ready to go tomorrow.
It's exactly what Talon said you would say, is basically like, he's not going to care about the result. He's got Nations coming up. He's ready to go get lit.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah. Me and my boy Parker, bro, we're going to meet up tomorrow. We're going to have a hell of a weekend. So, yeah, no, it's all good. All good in the hood over here.
I have a question for you in chat, by the way, as well. Can you ask Dizzle how it felt like being passed by Oles?
Yeah, dude, I don't know what it is, but for some reason, like, I just don't have pace when it comes to my own series. For whatever reason, man, I just, like, I host these races, and then when I get in the races, I just suck. I don't know. People that don't usually beat me, and yeah, I don't have an explanation for it. So
it is what it is. At least you're out there grinding and making some points happen on a tough night regardless. So good on you to get back into the points. Crazy night of racing for sure. And yeah, can't wait to talk to our podium finishers here in just a moment. Who are we going to be chatting with first?
So we got Cam, Chase, and Wash in the podium. So I see Cam right off the bat in the call already, so we might as well start with him in first overall.
All right. Here is your big winner tonight at Budds Creek. Dominant 1-1 day. Cam getting the job done. Okay, you're the points leader. You got the 1-1. All praise Cam again. You're back.
We are so back. I said it last week.
That was absolutely incredible. Take us through what it felt like to have a performance like that, because you had almost both races all by yourself for a lot of that.
I'm not going to lie. I don't really like this track. So once I got the whole shot, I was like, just try and pull a gap because I know I'm going to crash at some point. But I actually didn't crash as much so far. I did have my pace was actually really good in race 1. Race 2 was more of survival. But again, I mean, I went over the bars, like, dumb crash. And then I put some sprint laps down, pulled a gap. And then Chase was somehow, I don't even know how he was riding in that era. I'm not going to lie. But that era is not something I stress about because that's just the AOMX thing at this point.
Talk to us about that second moto, though, because it was the first real kind of I guess, problems you came into all day. That early crash set you back. You lost the lead to Aquas. As you said, you put down some sprint laps, opened that gap back up. But what was in your mind at that point? Like, were you even worried at all knowing the speed that you had?
I was only worried because Chase and Tyler were in front of me, and then they took each other out. And then, yeah, I was just like, right, I'm going to get a lead again and run. But the crash I had before that was just so stupid. I don't even know. I went over the bars somehow.
Yeah, and you locked in after that. You got both starts as well. You didn't. I don't think you quite got the whole shot in Moto 2. I think Brad maybe got you by a nose, but this is a tough start to get right because of that 180 turn. Everybody bar banging into the first corner. Did you kind of just feel like the seas parted in both motos and you just stuck away with this?
I'm not gonna lie. In race 1, I don't understand why I've never seen this in bikes before. Everyone to my left and right braked. So I just kept it on longer than everyone else and just whole shot. And then race 2, I got kind of lucky that I didn't crash, to be honest, because everyone went into each other and I just like went through the middle. And then Brad almost flipped and I tried my hardest to get the whole shot and I ended up over jumping the double and I thought I was going to crash.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, you absolutely pulled that one out. Now you got the red plate as well. So we were kind of joking. You gave me your skins today. I got the purple backgrounds now, but they're going to be red. So, man, look at that. Right into the points lead again.
Yeah, it's nice. It could be bigger, but...
You guys always want more. You always want more. You want to win by 25 seconds instead of 20 and so on and so forth. But, hey, man, congratulations. 1-1 day here at Budds Creek. Who would you like to thank for this one?
Moto Academy. Sorry, I'm really hungry. SPS suspension. Tyler J broke his back, Mago. Who else? Neon because he cries if I don't say it. Steiner because he cries if I don't say it. And Team GB for when we win MX Nations next week.
Hey, there you go. That's going to be a fun one to watch as well. But, yeah, man, congratulations. Terrific day here at Budds Creek. And as I always tell you every week, I guess go get some rest before another day at work, huh?
It's just a repetitive cycle at this point.
You're used to it now. You've done this too many times to know. But, yeah, congratulations, man. Awesome stuff today.
Yeah, sure.
All right, that was our big winner, Cam. Getting the job done with a 1-1 day. Incredible stuff. On to P2, though. We got Chase up in the house now. 2-2 day. Man, did you have to work for it in the first moto, though. Let's go back to that. You came from way, way back to slide into second place late in that one. Speed looked good, but it was a long road to get there.
You're telling me. I'm pretty used to it, to be honest. That's my typical start, usually. Unfortunately, that one was the ping. If you go back and watch it, I came out of turn 1. I played it safe on the inside, but Tyler being from EU, he just swiped my front wheel ever so slightly. So that kind of sucked. I tried the Husky. No particular reason for it, honestly. I just kind of wanted to ride it. It actually rode pretty good. It was very predictable rather than the KTM. I think the KTM is still better, and I'm still going to ride that for Nations most likely, but I was thoroughly enjoying the Husky. I feel like I can know exactly what was going to happen all the time rather than the KTM.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit in the booth because you were the only Husky, I think, in the points in the second moto at least. First moto, you were one of 2 guys up there. Maybe doing a little bit of 250 testing, it sounds like, on that bike beforehand and just like the way the chassis felt or something?
Yeah, that is precisely it. On the new Chase Black suspension website, shameless plug, I was testing all the bikes, and I was testing the Husky 250. I have no idea what the 250 guys are doing. That thing, at least to me, felt by far and away the best 250. Like, everything else was, like, pretty close to each other, and then I was, like, a second faster and threw down a lap instantly on the Husky 250. It was way easier. It was so smooth, so fast. And so I just threw that on the 450 just to try it. It's not quite as good. The front end likes to bottom the forks a lot and stand you upright. So it's The front end's a little bit more finicky overall, I would say, compared to the Husky 250. But I think it's a solid bike. You can definitely ride it and put the paces on it.
Well, fair enough. I mean, it worked to your advantage today. You looked fantastic on it coming through the field. Let's go to the second moto just real quick, though. Better start that time. We kind of were talking about, based on your speed in the first moto, maybe this is where you go with Cam. You can run with him. At one point, you were ahead of him for a brief second. And then what was up with you and TJ? You guys bounced off each other like 4 or 5 times. The crashing, the chaos commenced, and you lost a lot of time early in this race.
That was like us just not being very smart. We kept crashing, and then we would battle, and then I would take the E road line, and then I crashed into him. It was a whole fiasco. I did that in Moto 1 too. The first 5 minutes was just me crashing over and over, like by myself. So I basically just replicated that Moto 2, which was not ideal.
Not
But
ideal.
That was my mistake, his mistake. It was just a whole catastrophe. But we cleaned it up. Just locked back in for the last 20 minutes of the race after Cam was 30 seconds up the road. But we'll move on to the next one.
Came through, though. Did a good job again. Both motos getting to second. Now with Brad kind of having the woes that he has, it's Cam's championship. Maybe to lose, but how do you feel about your chances to try to close this thing down and maybe sneak it away from him in these last 4?
I feel good, honestly. My pace is good. And I've hated every track so far, and that was my first good track that I actually felt comfortable on, and I immediately pulled out 2 P2s, so I'm hoping we can get any other track on the wheel would be nice. I'm way better at all those, just straight up. Every track that we've done so far, I've done notoriously terrible at every single one of them. So I'm just happy to get a track that I enjoy.
All right, fair enough. Well, who would you like to thank for getting on the box here tonight at Budds Creek?
All the Chart Cycle Works boys. Chart Cycle Works helping me all season long, helping me run the team and the whole thing. All my sponsors, Liat, Bullfit, Thrill Seekers, Grip It, Warp 9, all the Mountain Slayers. Almost forgot them. Appreciate all you boys. Helping me out this season. Help me run the team. And then just launched Chase Black Suspension officially today. Please go check out the website, chaseblacksuspension.com. We have a setup for every OEM incoming, and we're rolling them out week-to-week basis. So there'll be a total of 265 setups on there. Novice, Intermediate, Pro, Motocross, Supercross, and then a sand setup for every single OEM. And we have suspension servicing for custom setups, and I can teach you how to make suspension. And there's coaching on there as well, if you just like some coaching from me. So please check that out if you didn't already.
Right on, man. Well, many congratulations, P2, here tonight at Budds Creek, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thank you, Dizzle and Talon, for you guys running the show. Thank you, guys. I know it sucks to run a series, not going to lie. So thank you, boys, for hosting as well.
Appreciate it.
That just tells all the stories that you want to know right there.
Yeah.
Love it, though. All right, I think we'll finish it up with our P3 guy on the evening. I
don't know where Washed is. He's not joining. He's not responding to messages. So I guess
sad.
we might skip out on that tonight.
Way to go, Cheesecake. Not even coming in here to chat. I was going to ask him how much it sucks to get stuck in a bridge for a minute, but you know what? It is what it is.
Yeah, well, he's climbing back up in the points. Washed is, so hopefully he can continue his climb and make this championship a little bit more interesting towards last couple rounds.
Yeah, fantastic stuff to see. A change of red plate. It's going to be interesting to see these last 4 races. I guess I'll ask both of you guys: is it Cam's to lose, or do we have someone else that's going to come up there and knock him off the pedestal in these last 4?
I think Wash might. I mean, he's only been off the podium. He barely missed signups round 1, so he didn't race that one. But except for, one moto from round 2 to now, he's been on the podium in that one moto. He got a P4. So it's just that all those times he's had a podium, he's been like one position behind Cam, except for maybe like 2 or 3 times. So you just got to finish ahead of him, and I think he could make this close championship. Only 23 back with 4 rounds to go, 8 motos. So still plenty of points up for him.
Yeah, I
As
think it's definitely Cam's to lose. He's won the last 2 rounds now, and pretty dominantly for the most part, especially tonight. So he's definitely looking on point, and I think I mean, he's said for a while. Obviously, he said he was going to be done with the championship at one point, but now he's he's all in. So
And then he's
I
finished
think
off the podium once since then.
right, yeah. So I think I think he's locked in right now. I think he wants to actually win this thing. So I think that's what he's going to set his mind to, and yeah, it's going to be tough for anyone to take it away from him at this point.
Well, we'll see what happens in the next 4 rounds of AOMX FXR Championship racing to wrap up this season, and going to be exciting to see it down the stretch run. As always, big thanks, of course, to FXR, FXRRacing.com to check out all of their 2026 stuff. New line just dropped today. Looks awesome as per usual from the guys at FXR back in the game and backing the series here run by Dizzle and Talon. And again, shout out to you guys. Awesome series as always. Good racing again tonight. Final thoughts from both of you?
Just
I'm glad that,
everybody that showed up.
Yeah, we had a championship change finally. Only took 6 rounds, but hopefully Cam doesn't walk away with it like we thought Brad was going to. Hopefully, Wash or Chase, finally get it together. Like Chase said, he's finally good at probably the rest of these tracks, so hopefully the championship fight doesn't get wrapped up early like it has the last 2 years, and yeah.
Yeah, I will say the last 2 years, whoever started out with the red plate for the most part ended up winning. So this is actually the first time in the 3 years we've been running this where whoever started with the red plate is now losing it a little bit past halfway at this point. So yeah, interesting things. But yeah, just want to give a shout out to everybody that keeps showing up week in and week out. Shout out to everybody tuning into the stream. Shout out to FXR for pitching in, and yeah, shout out to Kellen, to you for streaming for us.
Absolutely, boys. It's been a blast so far. Can't wait to see what happens in this championship stretch run, and we'll look forward to bringing it to you guys week after week. All right, that's going to do it for round 6 of this championship, and can't wait to see what happens from here. Thanks for tuning in to another MX Bikes AOMX FXR Championship